to the conversation of the day. It is about the 2022 general election and that historic move by Azimio One Kenya Alliance side to proceed and dish out their manifesto to the people of Kenya. It is about them to decide, to make sure that they go through what has been presented to them. He calls it his contract or their contract with the people of Kenya, and to make that crucial decision that hugely should be about what it is that they are promising. Most of the times we have argued that we do not have much of focus on the manifesto, on the promises that have been accorded to us, but mostly on tribe, on party affiliation, and even worse, on that very unique moments where we decide to look at the manifesto and the promises. Thereafter, it becomes hard for us to hold these individuals to account. So we are talking about implementation, talking about accountability, talking about setting of policies, talking about what will our government look like, 100 days into the reign of the new government. This conversation has officially been set by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga alongside his deputy, Honorable Martha Karua, as we're having a conversation as pertaining to what way forward upon clearance, that is Sunday, by the IEBC, being given that clean bill of health. And we're speaking about only 4 that have been let out to proceed and be on the ballot. These 4 that appear to be a little bit serious, and what it is that IEBC would declare, separating the wheat from the chaff. These ones are the ones that Kenyans will be looking at, to help us steer the country to the next level. It is Right Honorable Raila Odinga, it is Deputy President William Ruto, it is Wahiga as well, Maure, as well as, George Wajakoya. And so we'll be having this conversation just to look at whether these presidential candidates are going to present the best for us. Karibu sana. Let's discuss the Azimio One Kenya manifesto, one that has officially been presented to us, as we await the others and we chart the way forward. The hashtag is Morning Cafe at Linda_Lela TV 47KE. We value your feedback, and therefore we welcome you to be part and parcel of this conversation. It was a beehive of activities that is yesterday for this team and the Kenyans at large, looking at what this individual will present to us as we get to weigh the same in comparison to the others that are set to present their manifestos to the people of Kenya as well. We'll be getting to matters health, and that is on the question of nutrition, and we'll be having a session on how you get the right smoothies to make sure that you can detox, that you can look healthy. So keep it right here as well. We'll get to the ground and engage you just to hear what your view is as pertaining to the promises that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga and his team are bringing to the people of Kenya. 100 into governance. He seeks to address the questions of policies, seeks to address the questions of, just making adjustments, necessary, paperwork adjustment that would be helpful towards achieving what he seeks to achieve for the people of Kenya. So we'll be unpacking that bit by bit alongside Zach Kinodia, alongside Fred Okango, and also hoping to get a hold of Dennis Ndumbi. But in the event that, any of them does not show up, not to worry, the conversation still goes on. So let's get to look at what the papers detail this morning. My name is Linda Alela, and the broadcast Morning Cafe begins right away. And so the Daily Nation, the People Daily, as well as the Standard newspaper. Get me the papers. The Daily Nation, the People Daily, as well as the Standard newspaper. Thank you so much. The Standard newspaper is with me, and the Daily Nation and the People Daily, all soft and hard copies. This is the People Daily this morning. CEOs expect economy to slow down. Central Bank survey shows that top captains of industry fear that there will be a flat or reduced growth in third quarter of the year due to election jitters. And we have seen the Right Honorable Raila Odinga speaks hugely of how his main plan is to make an economic turnaround for the better. And so we seek to understand what really informs this view, even though we understand very well that during political years or electioneering periods, such would be expected. And that is captured on page 16 of the People Daily. On this other side, Governors racing against a time over running mates. Interesting times also the gubernatorial position. This in a bid to strengthen devolution. And so those ones that have presented their names and have been cleared to vie for respective positions argue that, you know, it would be important to get the right running mates, because that's how they are able to run their governments. Remember, in the previous reigns or the current dispensation, there has been a lot of jitters as to how governors are performing, and that also in relation to their relationship with their deputies, whom they have accused of always hunting down on them so that they would get them impeached for them to take up the position automatically as dictated by the Constitution. So we'll be looking at this conversation just to get to understand how this race will be instrumental, how these conversations will be instrumental at the level of the counties to boost the devolution aspect. Raila, this is my pledge to voters. And on this talk of the manifesto, Azimio One Kenya presidential candidate becomes first to unveil the vision he has for the country. If he wins the August 9th election, as captured on page 4, 5, and 6, the big story of the day. He speaks of industries, how he will renew, or we will have renewed focus on manufacturing to drive creation of jobs, value addition, and wealth. As well, touches on agriculture. Investment will be aimed at reducing hunger, making food affordable, focus on education. He says it will be free, and he means free education for all, from nursery to tertiary institutions, including university level. Health, Azimio promises to ensure affordable health care for all, and BAMBA care program. And on the aspect of the economy, says cost of power to be reduced, taxes to be reviewed, and borrowing to be better managed. And so we'll be looking at that, as well as infrastructure. Raila will pick up from where President Uhuru Kenyatta has left on big infrastructure. And I mean, we're talking about the big four. You realize that a majority of the big four clauses would find themselves in these promises that the Right Honorable Raila Odinga, you know, will be presenting or has presented to the people of Kenya and seeks to achieve once he ascends to power, if he will. So we'll be looking at this just to see how realistic some of these promises are, and whether indeed it would be a sure deal for Kenyans in the event that they opt to elect him. Kenya teacher wins global award for anti-tobacco campaign, an amazing one as well. A story captured on page 9 reminds us of the likes of Peter Tabichi, and we say this is indeed something that is commendable. We'll be getting to the details of that just to let you know who it is, and, you know, unpacking the goodness that comes along with this. My heart has been with you, Queen, says Art Fate. Yes, that is the Queen. Queen Elizabeth on this particular feat, or these celebrations, Jubilee celebrations that were on British monarch who ascended to the throne, while in Kenya makes surprise appearance at event to celebrate 70 years of throne. And congratulations to her. It was a historic moment, and that we have witnessed, and so much has played out in regards to the same. Getting to the details, we try and open that. Meanwhile, let's take a look at what the Standard newspaper speaks of this morning. The front page of the Standard newspaper speaks of the IEBC and those ones that have been cleared. Independent Electoral and Boundaries Commission presidential ballot paper, Wahiga, Mwaure, and Wajakoya George, as well as Deputy President William Ruto, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. 63 days to the general election. The IEBC has kicked out jokers in the race for president. Well, jokers or not, it depends on how you look at it. Out of the 57 people who are officially, or who had begun the journey to succeed President Uhuru Kenyatta and presented their names, only 4 got clearance from Chairman Wafula Chebukati to vie, dealing a big blow to independents and others who failed to meet the basic requirements. This a story captured on page 6. Remember, it was about today. That is the actual day, and so we're supposed to get this in finality, to get to know who are those that are going to be candidates, will represent Kenyans in different spectrums as they head to the ballot to see whether they're lucky enough to be elected. Raila, what I plan to do in 100 days in power, that is upon being elected president. Azimio candidate vows to grow the economy and renew the fight against corruption by ensuring that senior officers sign deed to resign once graft scandals emerge in their docket. This is the subject of the day, and we'll be deciphering on that as we continue. On the other side, the Kenya Kwanza, we have the best interest of women. Deputy President William Ruto acknowledges that, or argues that. We're story captured on page 7, and so we'll be looking at just who really is going to open the carpet wide for the women as well to get in and, you know, showcase what it is that they would be able to do in terms of service to the nation. Those are the key stories. The Daily Nation, road to State House. Let's take a look at what the Daily Nation speaks of this morning. And yes, here we are. Road to State House cleared to run. David Mwaure Wahiga, George Wajakoya, Raila Odinga, and William Ruto. These are the names alongside those of their running mates that will feature on the presidential ballot in the August 9th general election. The lowest number of candidates since the advent of multi-party democracy. That was in 1992. The Electoral Commission knocked out more than about 50 aspirants from the hotly contested race. A story captured on page 12. Many have been disappointed at this, but then the show has to move on. And now that we have 4, certainly the race as well is on. Raila's Kanan, Azimio presidential candidate Right Honorable Raila Odinga, last evening launched his manifesto and promising a developmental state that puts manufacturing at the heart of it and, you know, at the heart of the growing economy, with emphasizing social capital integrity, strengthening of the devolved functions, and also protection of media freedom, as captured on page 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 8 of the Daily Nation. So we unpack all this as we continue with the broadcast. On this other side, Sonko wins and reprieve over Mombasa race. That's an interesting one right here. Remember, there have been lots of questions as to whether then he should be cleared to vie by the IEBC. This going to the level of the courts. This is the story right here. And judges withdraw orders that restrained Electoral Commission from allowing former Nairobi governor to contest. That is in the Mombasa gubernatorial position. But Mr. Sonko is not yet out of the hood. The story captured on page 11, and we'll be looking at that as well, just to see on this question of integrity, just who stands the chance to be cleared at this very point, and whether indeed the question of integrity is crucial on this year's general election. Those are the key stories that we generally have on the papers this morning, and we'll be getting to them to decipher and unpack as well. Nothing much happening on the roads, and therefore we won't focus much on looking at what is happening, just a glimpse of what is there. It is all green from where it is that I am, Westlands, Parklands area, and I can almost guarantee you that such is the case across the different parts. The only alarming areas around Pangani, you would expect that as you come from Thika Road and other quarters to find yourself into the city. So Muthaiga down to Pangani, there is a bit of a snarl up that is characterized by the numerous vehicles that are coming from different areas getting themselves into the city, and so you get to this area, you would expect some bit of a delay, but it is not that bad. Let's see whether there's any other alarming area. This is the areas of Two Rivers, Limuru Road, Red Hill. It is all clean. Some tenets of traffic around Red Hill Road, that is also not so alarming. It's the yellow bit, so that tells you yes, you would get a bit of a delay, 2, 3, 5 minutes, but you would definitely get to your destination. Waiyaki Way as well is looking clean this morning. Let's see whether there's another road that would get us a bit worried around the Lavington Kileleshwa area. It is all clean this morning. Down to Ngong Road, there's some pockets of areas where you find tenets of traffic around or along Ngong Road, but that then is not as alarming as one would expect for a typical Ngong Road. Langata Road as well is not so bad, apart from this area of the T-Mall. That's a bit of traffic that would get you delayed 5, 3, 10 minutes, but not looking all ugly, as well as around the Nyayo National Stadium roundabout, Nyayo National Stadium, where it is that these celebrations of launching of the manifesto by the Azimio One Kenya played out. And the southern bypass, pockets of traffic somewhere around the southern bypass. This is strange. It's not always that you would get traffic around the southern bypass, but it is not alarming. As you can see, down to Mombasa Road, this is around the capital center. Let's go down and see whether there are areas where we could be worried. Imara Daima, as always, you would find tenets of traffic, and therefore if you're taking Mombasa Road, you know that somewhere around Cabanas, Imara Daima, you will be delayed for a moment, but it's not that ugly. The airport road is all clean. The eastern bypass most of the times is notorious with the question of traffic, and as you can see, pockets of traffic around different areas, but it is not quite alarming. And as you connect to Kangundo Road and so much more, those are the key places that would get you worried if using the road this morning. In case of anything, kindly please keep us up to tabs so we are all on one page and we get to know the roads to avoid this morning, or how quick we step out of the house. And now it is this very moment that we celebrate and once again get a moment of listening to that historic speech and presentation of the manifesto, the first presidential candidate upon clearance to present his manifesto to the people of Kenya so that they can get to unpack that and know what is the way forward. And so it is my honor to as well replay this conversation or replay this address by the Right Honorable Raila Odinga that is yesterday at the Nyayo National Stadium as pertaining to his contract and his promises to the people of Kenya.
We are ready to go. We said before we start the journey, we should come together with all our supporters, representatives, and tell the people why we are running. And that is why we are here today. I want to say, as was said already by those who spoke before me, that this is a result of a very lengthy consultative process with the people of Kenya. We said we don't just want to come and invent things, but we want to be able to represent the views of the people of Kenya. The people of Kenya have said that they want to see a change. They've said that for a long time they've waited for Kenyan dream to be realized. But the forefathers had said that this country was going to be a God-fearing nation, that justice was going to be a shield and defender, that we are going to live in unity, peace, and liberty. And finally, that plenty was going to be found within our borders. For 80 years, they have seen only scarcity. They have not seen the plenty promised by the founding fathers. So we said we need to start on our journey toward realization of that dream. The foundation has partly been laid, but we need to expand on that foundation and move towards achieving the Kenyan dream by dealing a devastating blow to the three major enemies of our people: ignorance, poverty, and disease. Those are the three major enemies of our people. And we said that we confront them frontally by coming up with policies that are responsive to the needs of our people. That is why in this manifesto, we have laid out our strategy of how to deal with those three major enemies of our people. We started with wealth creation. How do we create wealth? This country has remained for a long time purely an agricultural country, basically processing industries, processing agricultural products. You said now we want to go to proper industrialization. This country is very strategically situated on the eastern coast of Africa, on Indian Ocean seabed. It is therefore right to say that it can become a manufacturing hub for the region, Eastern Africa and Central Africa. So you said, you're not just going to come up with processing industries, processing agricultural produce, but primary manufacturing. Instead of importing steel, which we need in great amounts, as we're sitting under this dome here, all the frames here are steel frames. All the high-rise buildings that we have here are all supported by steel. The superhighway just behind us here, running from Mlolongo to Ayakiwe, it's all on steel, and most of it is imported into the country. We are going to make steel from iron ore, part of which we have in this country. Africa is the richest continent on Earth, on planet Earth, in terms of raw materials. Africa exports most of the raw materials to industrial West and East. They import copper ore from DRC and process it and bring back copper products, copper sheets, copper wires and cables for our own use in our continent. They import bauxite from Guinea and Mauritania and bring back aluminum products to Africa. They import iron ore from several African countries and bring back steel products into the continent. We are going to manufacture copper products here. We are going to manufacture aluminum products here. Then we are going to manufacture automobile components. We are going to manufacture here on the continent of Africa. We are going not only to assemble, but also to manufacture primary products here. We are going to manufacture electronic products here. We are going to manufacture, I've mentioned aluminum products. We are going to manufacture tractors here in this country and automobile. Right now, the world is converting from fossil fuels to other forms of fuels. Electricity is going to be the new energy for automobiles. That makes it very easy for us, with the technological base that we already have here, to manufacture automobiles, which are basically electric powered. The new source of energy as the world moves away from the fossil fuels is going to be hydrogen. And hydrogen is available in large numbers in our country here. Rivers flowing into ocean carrying a lot of water. Hydrogen is just extraction of hydrogen from water and leaving oxygen, which is also usable. We will produce hydrogen here and use it to manufacture, to generate energy. Then we will be processing also other products in this country. We will expand to not just processing semi-finished products, but completely finished products here. We will not be importing Nescafe. We produce Nescafe here from coffee manufactured, produced in Kenya. So we have a lot of potential in this country. We are sitting on a market of nearly 400 million people in the hinterland of our country. And we have got brains, people who are highly qualified. who can be meaningfully engaged so that we can be able to exploit the market that we have behind us. Then having done that, we are going to go into the other areas, as we've been shown, textile manufacturing. And here there's going to be backward and forward integration. We will introduce cotton growing in large numbers in our country. So many other parts of the country which cotton is the only available cash crop. Our textile industry was killed through liberalization. When then they brought mitumba, it killed all our textile industries. Our people are only wearing clothes coming from outside the country, which have been worn by people who are dead. We are going to go to primary production so that our people who are importing mitumba can have good product to sell here. I'm saying that we are not moving anybody out of business. We will ensure that those who are importing mitumba get the first hand to market goods which are going to be manufactured here in this country. We will get the cotton, we'll gin it here, we'll spin it here, and we will make finished product here. And this will create again a very big source of employment for our youth in the country. We will also promote farming of other products like bigsa, products like cocoa. Cocoa can grow here. Coconut is growing on the Sese Island in Uganda. We'll introduce it here as a cash crop and use it to manufacture beverages here in this country. So, having exhausted manufacturing, we are going to also promote agricultural production. Agriculture will go hand in hand, as already been mentioned by our Minister for Agriculture, with manufacturing. We will promote agriculture in large scale, and we'll also introduce smart agriculture so that our farmers can be able to get value for their efforts. We will subsidize our agriculture by providing farm inputs, providing seeds, providing fertilizers and chemicals at subsidized price. Effective from October this year, a bag of fertilizer will cost not more than 2,000 shillings from 6,000 shillings currently. We want to ensure that our farmers can work when they're happy. Maize production will also be expanded, and we ensure that we do not import maize when our farmers are having maize in their own warehouses. On the issues of health, we have already been told the BAMBA care is going to ensure that all Kenyans have got access to good health care. All Kenyans will be taken care of. We don't want to see any Kenyans dying from treatable diseases. We're going to promote research in our institutions here so that our people can be able to develop medicines that are made in Kenya rather than importing medicine from outside of our country. In terms of education, I've said that education is going to be free. By free, I mean free. Truly free. True. Our children will have access to free quality education from primary to university. It is doable because we are going to restructure our economy. We will have priorities which we are going to set for our people. I've also mentioned that we are going to employ all the teachers who are trained and are actually staying idle at home immediately so that we can be able to improve quality of education in our schools. So we want the Kenyan to walk this journey with us. What we are trying to offer is not something that is impractical. It has been costed by our experts. We know exactly where the income is coming from, which is going to fund the program that we are going to release. So it is not utopia. It is something that has been worked on by very highly qualified Kenyans, and this is what we are offering. So generally, this manifesto is our contract to the people of Kenya. I want to now highlight our first 100 days in government. What will Azimio government do the first 100 days? Number one, in the field of economic stimulus, because we are in the post-COVID era, we'll roll out an economic stimulus and recovery program. Two, in agriculture, we'll review all the policies, laws, standards, and norms to guide the sector. Three, we'll introduce minimum guarantee for farmers. Then, in terms of livestock, we'll improve access to affordable credit for livestock production. B, we'll introduce livestock insurance scheme backed by appropriate legal framework. On the issue of environment, we'll propose life sentence as punishment for poaching, trafficking, and the possession of ivory. We introduce progressive investment in high-level surveillance in our national parks. For fisheries and blue economy, we review policies, standards, norms, regulations, and legislation to guide the sector. 6, manufacturing. We will waive regulatory and other licensing fees for new youth-led innovations. We will review immigration laws with regard to potential investors in manufacturing to attract foreign direct investment to the country. We will give incentives to Kenyans, including diaspora and foreigners, to invest in manufacturing. In energy, we will set a roadmap to reduction in cost of energy. Roadmap to increase generation of energy. Attracting investment in alternative and renewable energy. Now, micro, small, and medium enterprises. We will implement recognition of prior learning certification program, that is RPL, by awarding certificates to craftsmen, technicians through apprenticeship, Shahada la Jitihada. We'll initiate funding and training for the border. 9, digital economy. Digital economy. We'll expand programs that connect the youth to digital economy, the global networks. Debt management and public expenditure. We'll commence negotiations for debt restructuring, stock management, to ease the burden on Kenyan taxpayers. Inua Jamii will implement cash transfer of 6,000 monthly stipend to each of vulnerable households. B, we will commence assistance to single mothers. C, we'll implement a social protection program for unemployed youth, modeled along Kazi Mtaani. 2, we'll review the cost of living with special focus on fuel, unga, mobile data, and energy. 3, we'll initiate implementation of universal healthcare insurance, BAMBA care. 12, education. We'll ensure all unemployed trained teachers are absorbed. 13, security. We'll assign at least 6 police officers in every police station, trained and equipped to handle police-youth relations and also to restore relationship with all the citizens. We will ensure that the police are a force, are a service, not a force, that the police serve the people and not molest innocent Kenyans. B, will improve pay and other terms of service for KDF and police personnel. Good governance. We'll declare corruption a threat to national security and establish a specialized department in the security agencies for corruption surveillance. This we shall do within our first 100 days in office. So in conclusion, I just want to say, as the Azimio government wants to face this dragon called corruption head-on, to ensure that we can be able to do our things in a clean and fair manner. Kenya has a great potential. Kenya is a great country, surrounded by neighbors with whom we want to work very closely. We are going to work towards the creation of East African Federation. We want to ensure that Kenya moves away from the league of third world economies, and Kenya plays in the league where it rightly belongs, to middle income economies, with a way to move into the first world economy. Kenyans deserve better. Long live Kenya. Azimio! 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 Azimio!
Well, let us all give His Excellency a round of applause and a standing ovation for that very impactful speech. Makofi mazuri tafadhali. Makofi mazuri tena. Asante sana.
And whether Leo, ni Leo for sure, well, that is left out there for you to debate on, and also, you know, just generally look at what has been presented to you, and we say whether it is that aspect of change, whether then it is Azimio One Kenya that will present the beam of change, or it is Deputy President William Ruto's Kenya Kwanza, or it will be Wajakoya's Roots Party and that of David Mwaure. So we'll be getting into this conversation, unpacking that has been presented to us by the Azimio One Kenya. Pretty much what we expected. And I mean, if you could listen to people here and there weighing in on what their expectations are, I think the Right Honorable Raila Odinga managed to have this conversation revolve around these ones that are the desires of many Kenyans. And these are desires that stand from 1963 all the way to date. And if you listen to him carefully, he mentions the fact that 58 years down, all the reigns that we have had, sadly, they have not managed to achieve some of these desires that Kenyans had, and, you know, some of these promises that they had, you know, presented to the people of Kenya. And perhaps on that very footing, we begin this conversation. It is an honor that we are having two gentlemen gracing this show this morning. A conversation like no other. Ndumbi Denny sends his apology. He says he's supposed to attend to some matters, but meanwhile, we try to get a hold of another person. But in studio, we already have Fred Okango, the Secretary Political Affairs of KANU. KANU is Azimio One Kenya, as well as Azimio One Kenya is KANU, part and parcel of this. And so we get to understand what really were the intrigues of getting this manifesto. As Baba would rightfully put it, it was intense. You know, it was a conversation that incorporated very many heads as pertaining to just making sure that they're able to present a document that is believable and achievable to the people of Kenya. In studio as well, Member of Parliament candidate, Kigumu constituency. It sounds funny when I call him that, but yes, Zach Kinuthia is here with us this morning. Zach Kinuthia, thank you so much for creating time. It sounds funny calling you Member of Parliament candidate.
I know, because you're used to CS before.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm also the organizing secretary for the most consequential political party in the history of the country, called the Party of National Unity, PNU. Because it's a party that delivered the new constitution in Kenya, the most forbearing document this country perhaps will ever have and has ever had since. So that's also a feather in my cap.
Part and parcel of Jubilee.
Yeah, it is part of Azimio.
It's part and parcel of Jubilee.
I think it's the fourth or fifth ranking party in the Azimio. And the party leader, of course, was the late president, but has now transited to the agriculture minister, Peter Munya. But good morning, yes, and good morning also to my colleague, Fred, a good comrade, always here to help Kenyans on matters. We have been working this journey, and so maybe someday when we are old enough, we look back and say, we did it for our country.
I know, right?
Now a new generation will come and
true.
proceed and do what we have been doing. But I am very nice. I want to greet everybody watching us, perhaps also in a manner of appreciating they are waking up very early to follow on us and get glimpses of what we are thinking about what is happening about the future.
Right. And, you know, you speak of that, reminds me of sometimes I get to host, you know, these gentlemen that have been here long enough, and ladies as well. And, you know, most of the time they say, you ask so-and-so, we're together when we're doing this. You ask so-and-so, and it's really nice to hear such stories and to even see them that at that level, old enough, still continuing to serve the nation. And so we appreciate you coming, as well as the coming of Fred. On the very same note, as we unpack what it is that the Azimio One Kenya presented to us. So that is your team. Right Honorable Raila Odinga acknowledges that 58 years, 59 we celebrated the other day, Madaraka Day, we really have not been able to achieve some of this that he seeks to achieve. But in these 58 years, all the presidential candidates, all the leaders we've heard have mentioned this, right from the Kenyatta Senior, when he speaks of poverty, literacy, and all this. Fred Okango, he is a friend of President Uhuru Kenyatta today, also acknowledging that the Jubilee government has failed somehow.
Thank you, Linda. I do appreciate and thank you so much for having invited us to try and discuss this together with Kenyans who are watching, the millions of them out there. Raila Odinga is a friend to Kenyans. President Kenyatta is a Kenyan. But to be very specific on the issues that Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, our deputy captain, have put together in a document that we call Azimio Agenda. This is more than a manifesto, because this is the agenda that the people of Kenya want. It is the agenda of the possible, Azimio la Wananchi. And if you look at the 10-point agenda, it is very, very similar to what any serious presidential candidate would want to achieve. The document has been outlined in a manner that you can actually see the implementation matrices. Agenda la wakina mama, agenda la ugatuzi, agenda la ukulima, agenda la viwanda, baba care. If you look at all those issues, they are issues that we are struggling today. But what makes me happy as a Kenyan who has hope that tomorrow must be better than today is the first 100 days of Raila Odinga government.
Policy.
And if you look at those policy, Raila Odinga has divided them into 3: economic revolution and specific issues that Azimio government we are going to do in the first 100 days. Then you look at social transformation, particularly the 6,000 shillings monthly to households that are vulnerable. Then look at what we call governance, where Zach keeps telling me about corruption, because that is the hope that Raila Odinga is giving the people of Kenya. The young people of this country have been denied opportunity because of corruption. The women of this country have been denied opportunity because of corruption. And the combination, Raila Martha, is a team that we believe in, particularly as in Azimio, that this is the team, the tag team that is going to finish corruption once and for all. Raila Odinga and Martha in the Azimio government, when we form government, they say that the appointed and elected, Zach and the team, will sign that they shall declare their interest. They shall declare their wealth. And then they shall sign that should you be engaged in any corruption activities, then you will resign pronto and you shall be responsible politically and morally. That gives us a lot of hope. And that's why for us in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, we are saying, you know, our competitors have been telling us they have an agenda. Last night, we started the campaign officially. And we have launched Azimio Agenda. That is an agenda that is more than a manifesto. People of Kenya have had manifestos, they have seen manifestos before, but the problem with manifestos, they come and then they are shelved. In Azimio Agenda, it is more than a manifesto, because it is a manifesto that has got early implementation matters. And we have outlined clearly in 100 days what we are going to do, specifically on economic revolution, social transformation, and governance.
You know, I want us to focus, Zach, as we loop you in, of course, not to look at the fact that, you know, the Right Honorable Raila Odinga categorically states that, you know, the other presidents did their fair share, but equally at some point did not manage to take Kenya where it should be. On several occasions, I've heard him, you know, even criticizing Daniel Toroitich Arap Moi, and that would be allowed. But you remember that Gideon Moi sits in this very same, coalition government, and so we would want, or coalition, party, and one would want to ask, what does that mean? But even without focusing much on that, the first 100 days, he speaks hugely on policies. He does not speak on the actual practical aspect, apart from this the 6,000 stipend, that one would be automatically practical and on ground. But a majority of the things that he seeks to address are hugely on angles of setting of policies, systems, making sure that activities run well. Is that a sure bet towards achieving the rest of the things that are under this umbrella?
Yes, it's a sure bet, Linda, and I can tell you that human progress is founded on aspiration. And Azimio is a Swahili word which loosely translates into more than aspiration, which of course is quest. A quest is something deeper than an aspiration.
Yeah.
That if you have a quest for something, it is deeper than aspiring for it. So when you build on a government that is building on a government that was, you must be able to aspire for a greater, a greater pain, a quest greater than what there is. And yes, it is not necessarily accepting that the president has failed, but it is an idea that you seek to infuse into the people to tell them, as things are, we can be better. You are not saying things are very bad. And I think, as my brother Okango has said here, our opponents have mastered the art of lamenting on the present.
Okay.
The art of highlighting on the failures, on unworkables, and pain of the present. Of course, human nature is that if you focus more on my pain, I will react more.
Yeah.
But if you put a ray of hope about tomorrow in me, then you are lifting me from my present, putting me into the possibilities of a life that is ahead. And this is what I suppose the launch of yesterday's document seeks to do. Yes, things that President Kenyatta has not been able to do, and we accept. I have been in his government.
Yeah.
Himself also accepts there are things that have not been able to be done, including ruthless crackdown on corruption. That one has not been successful. And this is what we hope that can happen in the next government. The precursor of the manifesto launch yesterday, which was done perhaps by Junet Mohammed, mentioned something very important, which is why policy seems to be more pronounced here than tangible promises. He said that this manifesto is founded on Wanjiko's interaction across the country.
Yeah.
He went to Turkana, Raila himself, went to Nyanza, went to Mombasa, went to... Remember, BBI, the document we so fought for, the document we should have had today, was more on correcting four things. One, to change this country, we needed to look at the administrative issues.
Yeah.
The problems bedeviling our country are more administrative. The problems bedeviling our country is more on policies, that we have got wrong policies, or we have prioritized policies that are not supposed to be prioritized today.
Okay.
He also said that the third problem was constitution. That if you can change the constitution on X, and then we improve policies on this, this country will fit itself into order. But remember, if we say that we are going to do X in a manifesto, the next question that naturally follow is how, isn't it?
Yeah.
Now this how is what was addressed by this manifesto.
Okay.
This how is a policy that he is now pronouncing. Raila is now about 80.
Yeah.
This is a man who cannot lie. It is no longer possible for him to lie to his children.
Okay.
It is no longer possible for him to sit his years of
Do
life.
you suppose those ones that have come before and
Yes.
have presented their promises were either lying, or they're just some things that are not practical?
I would say
And I
they were
mean, those are the
impractical.
questions people are asking today.
No,
The
let's be honest.
practicability, yes.
Our own government,
Yes.
of course, which I served, I'm saying, in 2013, you remember there are people who came here and started saying we are going to give every child a laptop.
Yeah.
How many adults even have laptops? And how many schools have electricity? It is now that the president realized that some of these promises that were brought by his people, because I remember this was an aspect of his coalition. It was not his idea, President Kenyatta's TNA.
Is it?
He said, first of all, let us electrify every school. Let us put electricity to the last mile in every school for us to achieve these things. And let us also build strong rooms which are internet connected so that these things can operate. So the people who had said one child, one laptop, these were people who wanted to hoodwink Kenyans, who wanted to lie and eat on appetites of parents who would want to see their children with of course.
And I mean, you people were there, Zach, you people were there, bright enough. And I think,
2013 I mean,
when we are asking, when we're asking about these questions of, you know, what have you done in terms of putting these leaders to accountability, we would look at Fred. I will remind Fred here, okay, and I'm not trying to say that in the event that they are lucky enough to ascend to power, they would not achieve this. But in the event that they do not, I will remind Fred that, you know what, you were part and parcel of these processes. What went wrong? If it happens well, then I'll be here to congratulate that. And therefore, we cannot squarely blame this on one individual. And I mean, that's why we keep talking about the presidency.
This is what I'm saying, that why Raila went down on over ambitious promises that seeks to, you know, evoke emotions.
As they say.
Yeah, you know, I mean, and say hoodwink. I'm sure you'll say that people coming with the manifesto. You have 3 more presidential candidates.
Yes.
Hoping that they are going to also to launch their manifesto. You call us here. And you'll be able to point agenda by agenda and saying this one is unrealistic because there is no policy supporting it. And this is why this manifesto by Azimio that was launched yesterday is lacking totally on, you know, this, what would I say? This infusion of uncheckered ambition. It cannot be traced. The things that Raila said yesterday are things that can be traced on policy agenda. My government will do. Agriculture Minister highlighted what he's going to do about the manifesto of, you know, the Azimio manifesto on agriculture agenda. Why? Because he's here. He's already a predetermined agriculture minister. Tell us. There was an agriculture, another minister predetermined for other things. You saw it. Tell us what you will do once you get. I hope people are clear to see. Another minister was introduced yesterday. You know, chief minister was also there. He was supposed to say, in this arrangement, we are going to do this. These are people who have already been predetermined on what they will become. So when they speak, they are speaking on things they are going to do, which were launched yesterday.
And Linda,
Fred, how about we take a short break and then we come back on that very note? All right, after this break.
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
Well, do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga,
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m. The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why nilieka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m.
And so in this particular case, I guess there'll be not much of, stones throwing. Would have expected from the other end, fireworks and all that. But, sometimes we really have to be objective after all said and done. And perhaps, Fred, as we loop you in, this is a question that would have come towards the end, but I'll ask it at this very point. As you articulate what you wanted to articulate, like, is there anything that you would pinpoint on this? And I'm glad that there's that acknowledgement that this has been a conglomeration of ideas from across quarters, from Kenyans themselves, from different parties that sit under Azimio 1 Kenya. What is this one that really ain't a plus, or maybe this one that does not look like would be able to see the Azimio 1 Kenya government achieve?
Linda, there's something that Zach mentioned about this document. And you see, people talk of promises. And that's why I want to answer your question differently.
Yeah.
Most of the manifesto we have seen, first of all, this manifesto is a conglomeration of many ideas from the people of Kenya themselves. And that's why in our document, we say Azimio la Wananchi. Then we say this is more than a manifesto. This is Azimio agenda. And Zach has put it plainly, what is the actual meaning of Azimio? The aspirations that the people of Kenya want. And that is what Raila Odinga and Martha Karua is giving the people of Kenya. Now, constituent parties had their manifestos, had their agenda, had their transformative ideas. They did submit this through the people to the larger Azimio family. As Kanu, I am happy person today. I have seen a lot of our ideas that the people of Kenya gave us and also gave to Azimio, and today those ideas will see light of day. But having said that, this is, if you look at this document, there are three things. Number one, in our Zekana agenda, good people, good opportunity, safety nets, good governance. And if you look at the document keenly, it gives you the agenda, then it gives you the opportunity, and then it gives you the commitment, not a promise. So Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, under the leadership of Raila in Azimio government, will be committing to the people of Kenya that when elected on 9th August at 8 a.m. in the morning, when we shall be winning this race, Raila Odinga in the first 100 days will start the social transformation by looking at the Kenyans who are less privileged, the young people who don't have jobs through Kazi Mtaani, the families that are vulnerable, 6,000. In fight against corruption, we look at the existing laws and how Parliament shall now relate that to ensure that we curb corruption. But not only that, we look at the elected and appointed leaders. How are we going to seal the gaps that we have today that have been a challenge to President Uhuru Kenyatta to ensure that we have money that is going to fund even free primary education to university? What we are saying in this document today is that it is more than a promise. This is a commitment to the people of Kenya. And that's why for us in Azimio, we don't know what to call even manifesto. We call it Azimio agenda. We have an agenda. And that agenda has been summarized in a 10-point. Azimio la Ugatuzi. What is it? One county, one product. And how do we take those resources to the villages? Then we are saying Azimio la Jitihada, where manufacturing is the cornerstone of economic revolution. How do we ensure that even the SMEs have got something that they can be proud about and build the economy? Azimio la Viwanda, Azimio la Kinamama. I'm very happy today. Even when you look at the choice of running mate, when you look at the choice of agenda in Azimio la Kinamama, the women of this country for the first time are going to have opportunity to do business. They'll have special funds to do business. They'll be protected and they'll be secured. I am happier that the agenda that we have today is an agenda that our competitors cannot match, and we want to ask the people of Kenya, give Raila Odinga and Martha Karua and his government a chance, because this is the chance that we've been waiting for. We do believe in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, that given opportunity, as we say, good opportunity, we shall deliver to the people of Kenya once and for all.
He who laughs last loves best, and probably they said Right Honorable Raila Odinga somehow managed to do that. And you know, on that very day that he was to declare his running mate, Fred was here with me, and you know, it was almost certain that Kalonzo Musyoka then would be a disappointed man, and that it would be Karua. And you know, even the competitors kept saying that if he does not pick Kalonzo, it is doomed for him. That kind of Martha appeared to be the the best kind of laughter for the Right Honorable Raila Odinga. How can you confidently say then that your competitors will not match to this particular manifesto? Don't you think adjustments are being made right now? Don't you think changes are being made right now, and that they would probably present a better document?
Of course, there must be polishing. Supposedly, there must be. Of course, we assume that they have it, but we are sure that they are going to build on what they had. The opponents, there are 3 opponents, by the way, so that people do not mistake us to think that we are talking about one person. There are 3 more opponents who will be polishing their manifestos to try and match what was given yesterday. Definitely, because they want to outfox the one that is already out there. The cat is already out of the bag.
You let it out early, you think? Or it is the best time?
Good time. Sometimes also, it is good to be early, so that now everybody else can take you as a mark.
You set pace.
Yeah, you set the pace. Sometimes it's good. You'll throw them into their drawing board again. Let me tell you, do you know perhaps there are things that were said there that are already what they thought would surprise us? Now it has come out. So they have to find the language if they are supposed to maintain it as part of their manifesto. And it is painful because if you had something, I mean, if you had a beautiful damsel that you want to present to your clan as a future wife, and then you find out that a loose uncle or a loose auntie has already told the people everything about her and circulated photos, you'll be very disappointed when you get into the heart, into that room, because now everything is known, but it was a surprise for you. I suppose that in my culture, we have a proverb that says, meaning if you eat early, you're not greedy. Eating early is not greedy. Having given this thing was a right time for me, just as they were right by giving their running mates earlier. All these other guys give their running mates so early that Raila seemed late, because he gave the last day, if you remember. Actually, it was the last day. But Wajakoya and David Muaure and the other guy, all of them gave their running mates early. And we thought, oh my God, now what? But look, who had the final laugh, as you put it? It is a person who laughed last. However, also, to be objective, they could also give us things that were not mentioned here, which could actually evoke emotions out of the voter and look like they are better than this one. Remember, Kenyans will trust what they hear last. Until you keep telling them what you are telling them, and in this case, what we are telling them here with Azimio agenda, until and unless we keep telling them more and more and more and more of what was launched yesterday, they are going to hear and remember what would be said last. So whomever is going to give, the other 3 guys, whomever will give their manifesto that will be remembered last. And you see, in my earlier life, I told you I would have been a preacher man. And that one also gave me powers to predict. In this election, I have predicted something. And I want you to remind me when we come back.
I will.
Here. I know who will, in this presidential race, be number 3.
You know who will be number 3?
Yes.
I think I do as well. Fred, do you? I think I know who's going to be number 3.
I'll tell you, in my conviction, Zach and Linda, I know the winner of this election. Because the people of Kenya have said that this time they want commitments. Raila Odinga and Martha Karua, who are our leaders in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, have committed through Azimio agenda. And in that agenda, they have outlined the opportunities, the good opportunities awaiting Kenyans. Then they have given their commitments. We are saying that this time around, because for the first time we have a commitment and we have a leadership of a political party coalition that is determined to secure the lives of Kenyans in the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga, we are happy that this election will be won by reformists. You know, we have conformists the other side, and the conformists normally tell us that they have an agenda. When we finally unpacked our Azimio agenda, I'm sure today they're on their laptops trying to change, but we want to tell them, this is a competition. There are other competitors. What Kenyans have been waiting for is already out. Kenyans, don't look anywhere else. This Azimio agenda has got everything for the marginalized, the youth, the women, industrialization, you know, all the economic revolution aspects that Kenyans have been waiting for. President Kenyatta has done his term. He is going home come 9th. He is going home because constitutionally he must go. Now, we must look at the leadership that will fix the challenges of President Kenyatta. Then the leadership that will enhance the success of President Kenyatta. That leadership is the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Karua, supported by the people of Kenya who are going to vote him overwhelmingly, and then with the structure that are in place. That structure that is in place we have seen. First 100 days, Linda. Can you imagine a presidential candidate committing that the first 100 days, when I appoint you and when you are elected, you must assign to a deed that is going to fix the gaps of corruption? Because the biggest problem that President Kenyatta told us in Kenya today is the corruption. President Kenyatta was a very honest man. He told us 2 billion lost every day. Raila Odinga knows for you to have free primary education and university education, we must have funds. For you to have universal health care, you must have funds. For you to have decent and affordable housing, you must have funds. Where are the funds going? And we're a rich country that everyone is proud about. The funds are going into individual pockets. And that's why the conformists, the other side, they don't want to talk about corruption. They're talking about Mama Mboga, Boda Boda, Mkokoteni, and they don't tell us.
Fred, let's be fair to them and say that they're going to present their manifesto, and we'll see whether they're going to address this.
You invited us.
Yes.
And you didn't only invite Azimio. You invited, this space is vacant. You invited a representative of Kenya Kwanza.
Somehow, at
least.
So
it is important to acknowledge that they don't have an agenda to present. And if they have it, then we shall discuss it. For today, we have our field day. This is a new agenda.
Okay, so you run and shine. Okay.
Yes, absolutely.
By a large extent, or you realize that this is more of President Uhuru Kenyatta's Big Four agenda. When we talk about infrastructure, when we talk about agriculture, that is more like affordable food. Yes,
security.
Yes, and I mean also the aspect of housing sits therein, infrastructure sits therein. How different, and in acknowledging that we have had all these resources, we have had all this, might and commitment towards that. We have seen funding, from that time, President Uhuru Kenyatta declared that this would be his legacy. Every single budget has been read, and there's been incorporation of funds for the Big Four agenda. How different?
Thank you. Let me say, I think my brother Okango missed our point, your point and my point, of predicting number 3. Number one, by the virtue of this
you want
panel,
to join,
we already predicted number 1. We already know who will be. But saying number 3, we can tell who will be number 3 because there are only 4 candidates.
Yes.
Isn't it? Number 3 is known. And why I think number 3 must be watched is because his supporters will never attend his political rallies. Otherwise, they will be arrested.
And I am glad that you speak of this. I mean, let's actually, first of all, shelve this Azimio manifesto for a moment and talk about these presidential candidates. And that some of them actually have been locked out because, their running mates had questionable issues here and there. I don't know how fair that is for them that, would have obviously maybe sailed through, but now they have to be locked out from their ambitions because of their deputies. Adjustments maybe could have been done, told get somebody else because this one is not fit. But here we are. I do not number 3.
Let me tell you why I think number 3, and this is funny. Number 3, there are 4 candidates by now, and I have to push this point. The 2 leading candidates are known, but number 3 and number 4 here. We have Wajakoya Professor and we have David Mwaure.
You have already declared.
Now these 3, there is a man whose manifesto, I think, is a single statement. A single sentence that upon being elected the president,
it will be ganja all over.
It will be ganja smoke.
Do you think?
There will be 5 days
don't you think he has a point? That probably we're running away from this reality that lives with us.
But that's what I'm telling you. That his supporters are silent because bang is illegal. They will not appear to his meetings.
Yeah.
But his votes are so secure that they do not want to hear anybody else. Okay. So he'll be number 3. And I am suggesting he might get 500,000 votes, which is substantial. It is. And somebody told me yesterday he might pull a runoff. No, I don't think he can pull a runoff, but he's a serious contender. Remember, nobody got 500,000 votes over the last 3 elections, 2 elections actually. Nobody has got 500,000. This man might. Why? For 2 reasons. For the reason you're asking me, all these 50 candidates who have been locked out, they had their supporters. Give it up to, if this man vied for president, it would be very naive for anybody to claim that he cannot have supporters.
Yeah.
That people who believe he can be president. Zach Kinodi are the same. Even you, if you vied for president, there are people who believe in you. So if you tell them I am very angry, these people have locked me out, so let us go and vote for X, they will go and do it.
Yeah.
So the protest vote of these 50 plus candidates who have been locked out are also going to contribute heavily, and they are not going to vote the 4. Okay. Be sure they are not going to vote the 4 who have been cleared, because they were among them and they have been locked out. But I'm very disappointed, Linda, by my friend Jimmy Wanjigi. Totally disappointed with him and Nyambane, because I thought, and I thought a college degree is basic, not because of the job we are looking. Like some of us have many degrees. Not that we flout them, and not that we are looking for jobs, but a degree is a manifestation of hard labor buried in books.
And especially if you've had the capability and the resources.
There was. Let me say, for Nyambane, they may not have been because of his background, but for Jimmy, definitely.
Nyambane has been out there. He says that, at that point, he was in campus, and then he dropped because, well, he got a job that appeared to be lucrative enough to keep him going.
Yeah.
And so,
because knowledge, if you interpret knowledge as means to the end, then you are wrong. Nobody would go to school. Remember, Mark Zuckerberg, the youngest under 40 billionaire in the world, trillionaire actually, in Kenyan money, he's a trillionaire.
Yeah.
This man, with all his achievement, his mother told him after 10 years that he does not recognize him. Yeah. Until he go back to Harvard, complete his degree, and bring it home. He didn't send him to bring him Facebook. She had sent him to go and come up with a degree to dignify the home of Zuckerberg. The mother had to stand that way. Jimmy's father, and I'll say that because they are my countermates, and this is in fair, is in public, is in fair comment. His father was a cabinet minister, meaning that there was a chance for him to go to school, finish college. If he wanted, he would fly out of the country and study degree in India, in United Kingdom, in America, or even in Caribbean, South America, wherever he would have wanted to do this. But he didn't, meaning it is such a sanction of shame. It would be better that you didn't bring all the signatures, you didn't bring all the qualification for integrity. Those things can be understood. But college degree, Linda? Oh no, that one was disappointing. Even for that friend of mine, Walter, Walter has been swimming in good fame. Going to school in the evening. When I was doing my 3rd degree in the University of Nairobi doing law, the people we were with in class in the evening, even ministers, even Deputy Chief Justice was back to school doing masters in law. A lady who has everything it takes, state security, state benefits, a good job that has security of tenure, a lady who has all the name in the eyes of the people. But she came back to, and many, many, many more people.
And perhaps this is a conversation that we need to have, and especially when it comes to the realm of leadership, Fred. And you've had members of parliament, members of county assembly challenging this. Successfully, they did that education really is not a mark to good leadership. That is debatable. That is agreeable. But really, is this the direction we should take as a nation, progressive, as we keep reminding our students or our children how important it is to go to school?
Linda, the Constitution of Kenya, and Zach knows this, has got qualifications and disqualifications for running for public office. Before I comment, I want just to highlight something. You know, IEBC did clear Walter Mongare, aka Nyambane. Before.
Right.
And they gave him the green light to go. What did IEBC look at to clear Walter Mongare that they did not see after they cleared Jimmy Wanjigi? That's the question that I'm asking. The other thing that I'm asking is that, was there specific qualifications for other candidates and that is not applicable to the others? And lastly, let's be honest. The Constitution of Kenya in Article 73 says that the selection shall be based on suitability and competency. That means for you to be suitable to run for public office, you must meet certain criteria. You must be competent enough to do that job. That brings the aspect of education. And therefore, we acknowledge that for you to be qualified, indeed, then you must be knowledgeable about certain aspects of governments. That means you must go to school or you must learn through basic education to understand the environment in which you're going to operate. I am very disappointed that we have had opportunity, and that's why you see Raila Odinga in this Azimio agenda. For us, we are talking about good opportunity. Good opportunity includes education that must now be free from the word go. Because many people also do not have those opportunities because they never got the good one. They got the bad one where they were taken to school, they dropped out. There was no fee, they dropped out. Today we are saying that while some of the people believe that leadership do not require you to go to school, but I strongly believe that it is important to make an attempt to understand that what you are going to do, how competent and suitable are you as far as education is concerned. Lastly, it is also important to understand that in leadership, you continue growing yourself. We have seen leaders, self-improvement, who have gone to school, who have been elected because they had the basic education, but they went back to school and said, I want to better myself. And they start from 0 to grade 10, where grade 10 means they have gone beyond and now acquired a master's degree. That way, you shall improve yourself. And I want to urge young people that have opportunity today, please, every time you get an opportunity to go back to school, perfect it. Make it your habit to go back and get these opportunities, because that is the only way that will better your life. As we go into the next era, where education will be for everyone, everyone will be educated, what will distinct you from the other is how qualified are you? And that is the ultimate form of leadership that we'll be looking at. In the next era, we'll be looking at presidential candidates with PhDs. You know, so we want to see a situation where we are suitable, but not only suitable, we're also competent. In this election, I can tell you, this election, I said it is about transformers versus conformers. And in the transformers where we are, the transformists where we are in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, we strongly believe that we must give good education opportunity to everyone, irrespective, the marginalized, the rich, the poor, and the middle class. Because education is an equalizer. Raila Amolo Odinga gave his history. He has given this before, how he traveled far and wide to get education. Martha Karua is a staunch believer in education. She's a senior counsel. She's a reputable lawyer. So if you look at all these credentials, it tells you that no child should be left behind in Azimio la Umoja One Kenya government. A government that is going to recognize that for you to be better in life, you must get the provisions of economic and social rights. Education, water, housing, food. It is a must. And that's why Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha in Azimio la Umoja government are committing to the people of Kenya that no child will be left behind. We must work together. We are happy that as we take this Azimio la Umoja agenda to the people. The people of Kenya will accept it because of the good opportunities that they have been given and elect a government that will secure their lives.
One thing to say, another to implement. Questions continue to linger as to whether indeed some of these manifestos, promises that are accorded to the people of Kenya are achievable in this time around where we're not even able to sustain our very own budget. Questions are, what will be that point of a turnaround for the Azimio government, Azimio 1 Kenya or Kenya Kwanza or Roots Party or any government that would find itself, you know, into the country? So we come back after this short break and try to probably ask these gentlemen, as much as they believe, as much as there's a question of party affiliation, how deep down are they convinced that this is possible?
Despite being visually impaired, he is a jack of all trades. It is our quest to find answers on how to take care of children with special needs and those with disability. You do not need to see musical notes to understand music, but rather to have your soul feel the vibe.
Actually, for us to make a wheelchair, we have to take measurements of the user.
After doing my assessment, I get to know the parent, I get to know the heaviness she's carrying.
Disability comes at different stages of life.
How well do you know what's happening around you? Morning Cafe with heated political debates. Baraza la Siasa.
Hiyo kitu azungumzie, angalie hali ya maisha ya watu.
Informative health discussions. Business, farming. Tasty Wednesday, Fitness Thursday, and Feel Good Friday with amazing DJs, celebs,
waimbaji, kuna comedians, alafu kuna wajinga.
and music bands every Monday to Friday from 6 a.m. to 9 a.m.
The next set of millionaires are farmers. As we know, agriculture has been and still is the backbone of our economy. As we traverse the different counties to meet different farmers, we ensure to get the story of how they started farming and even how they continue to penetrate the market and overcome the challenges.
Hapa, the reason why niliweka goose na si ducks. Goose, they are very easy to maintain.
A lot of farmers keep on calling, inquiring whether you're supposed to raise some seeds in the nursery or you're supposed to do them directly in the field.
The greenhouse helps us control the temperature because the temperature needs to be between 28 to 32 degrees.
Walk this journey with us every Sunday at 6:30 p.m. It's no secret, construction ain't cheap. But how do we make it affordable? Different individuals are finding ways of cutting down cost by use of pre-stressed slabs other than reinforced concrete, recycling plastics to make pavers.
The brick is stronger, it's cheaper, and it's lighter.
And
you know, they're still here with us, as well as Fred Okango. We unpack the Azimio 1 Kenya Alliance or Coalition manifesto that was presented yesterday by the flag bearer, that is Right Honorable Raila Odinga. Speaks volume of the fact that this is his contract or their contract as Azimio 1 Kenya and the people of Kenya. And indeed, questions are here as to whether indeed we should bank on these contracts, because every time you're marching into business, because I mean, the running of a nation is technically business, because it will be about the people going there to vote for you The very same people that pay you, and therefore they would want to see value for their money. Value for their money would be guaranteed. And this looking at, you know, on a general perspective, as a common mwananchi, forget about Zach, who is a staunch supporter of PNU or Jubilee or Azimio 1 Kenya. Just how practical, and I mean, Fred has really tried to unpack that, but you know, we can barely sustain our very own budget today. We are at that point of debt. What will be this turnaround point?
I think the first thing, and this is what I have always held, if 2 billion shillings can be pilfered in the hands of unscrupulous people, just how much can that money, if sealed, could do? Kenya is not bleeding from internal collection of revenue. We have no problem. The business generated in this country gives us enough revenue to run our budgets. The question of debt, Linda, and we discussed this sometime when I was in government, the debt question is not an immoral question, and debt is not bad. Every poor man in this nation will be proud that they have no debt. But every rich man, every man who has his wealth, they will point to multiple debts that they owe the banks. You see? So Kenya having debt is not a problem. The problem has always been, and we said this a long time ago, this debt was misdirected for looting. Some of this money was misdirected for looting by some of the people who have suddenly turned savior in the morning. And it is unfortunate. We have already said this, and I started saying this a long time ago, that our money can be shown where it is going. Debt must generate income and must generate money to pay itself. A debt is, I mean, a loan is supposed to repay itself. That's why there is security. Yeah. If you have business and you have 100 million shillings put in it, this business should be able to pay 200,000 per month, or 1 million or 500,000 per 3 months. There should be an agreement where this money is coming back. So let me answer your question direct and say that we are hardly sufficient or not. Yeah, we are hardly sufficient, yes. And we are not supposed to be totally sufficient. Yeah. A nation must run on programs that, yes, absorb the money that is borrowed, but also generate money to sustain itself. Budget must not always be balanced. Yeah. A budget can be, a deficit budget, where a loan coming from within or from without supplement and complement what already is. But the programs must be just not ambitious, but they must be moderate. Okay. And that is why you see, I know, and Okango will see this in coming days, one of the things that Azimio launch will be beaten about is flat on transformation. That's what they are going to say. It is flat. It does not excite. It does not lift the spirits high. Yeah, because it is not a con. It's not a con manifesto. Okay. It wasn't a con document. It is not supposed. It's not supposed to exploit your emotion. It's supposed to help you internalize and logically reason on what the Azimio government is going to deliver to the people. So I am sure if Raila is president, if he would do what he said yesterday and crack down on loot, wastage of public resources, and make this corruption being a public shame. He said he would form a committee that declares this a national disaster, where all the efforts of money being looted from government will stop. I am telling you, we have enough money in this country, generated by well hard-working Kenyans who decides to transform their own nation with their own resources, with their own sweat. What did Raila say last night? That Africa is the richest continent in terms of raw materials. Yeah. Did he know something about it? He did. He said that we import even the shoes we wear. That's true. It is a shame that we are importing the clothes we can make here. That way we weaken our money, and we set our shilling against a dollar in such a manner that we cannot sustain our country.
We have not tapped into the resources, and I think that should have been the next question.
With
Africa
manufacturing.
Generally.
Yes, yes.
And you see, we have also bigger brothers within the continent that really have not managed so much so, and you know, to get to this level where we can tap on our resources, and that hugely has been blamed on the kind of leadership that we have had. And so this Right Honorable Raila Odinga's leadership is capable to tap into the resources that we have as Kenya. That today we can speak of a scenario where all these things that you say, you will assemble in totality in this very country, that we won't have to go and export or, and import some of these commodities that we actually have. Our raw material would go abroad, it is processed, then we buy the same products that come from the very same, raw materials. Really tapping into the resources of Africa has been the biggest challenge for the African continent. Why is it going to be different?
And this awakening that African through AU, and he mentioned that the renaissance of Africa through the union called AU must now refocus on growing home. Africa has its own market. I don't know why we are always worried about people saying, oh, we cannot be isolated as a continent. Yes, it's true. But every big economy today, including China, Germany, and Russia, these people have had to lock their market sometime so that they can sustain what they are producing by consuming their products. That way, they build their economy before you open it up. Otherwise, a nascent economy like Kenya cannot be allowed to compete with a big powerhouse big industrial powerhouse like China. Because you see, right now I'm vying. I'm contesting for MP in my constituency. One poster, the publicist materials we are using, to produce it here in Kenya, one will cost you 15 shillings to 30. One. And you need thousands of them. But in China, one will cost you 1 shilling, even 50 cents, because their capacity to produce is such highly placed, you cannot compete. Until you close our borders, until you close our market and ring fence our economy against big forces, we cannot grow. And this is why I believe, and Raila put it yesterday, that even food, which country imports food, surely? Even Burkina Faso in 1985, through the most revolutionary president, Thomas Sankara, condemned Organization of African Unity for importing rice. How can you import food, what you're eating? You can even be poisoned from outside. Let us produce, rather let us consume what we produce. That way, money will be strong and it will circulate here. Otherwise, if you import 27,000 metric tons of rice, where has that money gone? Has gone to Sri Lanka, has gone to Pakistan, has gone to outside the country. But if that money was to rotate around Hola, rotate around Mwea, can you imagine the impact that money will have?
Fred, picking it up from what Zach says, we probably would need so much of a shift, in terms of mind, because as we speak today, we have spoken about Buy Kenya, Build Kenya. And we have, some of us who are doing so well in various industries. But sadly, we've not been able to just embrace that.
That's true. You see, Linda, in Azimio agenda, what's called Azimio manifesto, we are talking about made in Kenya. My good friend Zach has just given a very good example what is happening currently, where aspirants or candidates for that matter are struggling with printing posters to popularize their agenda in this election. They are doing it in Kenya, but it's still expensive. If you are to go to China, it will be cheaper. Why? Because in China, they have managed to liberalize power. They have managed to standardize energy. They have managed to make it cheaper for SMEs to thrive. That is what Raila Odinga is talking about. If you look at Azimio la Umoja agenda, particularly in the first 100 days, Raila is identifying opportunities in energy so that you can liberalize and make power cheaper for everyone. The cost of living is equally high because of high cost of power, and that one we must lower down. Number two, the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya is a very good idea. And today, Raila and the team in Azimio government are saying what is going to happen is that we must revolution our counties and say one county, one product. When you go that route, then you specialize and give impetus and eminence into a product that is going to sustain the livelihood in that area. But what makes me happy is that in Azimio agenda, we have identified opportunities in every sector: energy, manufacturing, labor industrialization and relations, so that in doing business, you make it easy. The other issue that has been a problem is the cost of doing business factored by these issues of licensing.
Yeah.
And Azimio agenda is articulating that we shall do away with this. The young people in this country, they are not included economically in doing business.
Yeah.
And if you look at what is happening today, what Zach is saying, majority of the people who are involved in printing of posters for the aspirants are young people. They are finding it difficult. This is a business. We must include them economically. Including them economically means you must give them tax waivers. We are saying in Azimio agenda that we'll give them tax rebates, 7 years. Then we're also saying because they have a lot of opportunity, we give them opportunity on acquiring credit so that they can enhance their SMEs and recognize those SMEs, right from Juakali all the way to the other they are doing. I am glad that the Buy Kenya, Build Kenya will now transform into Made in Kenya, so that we have products that are finished in Kenya, manufactured using raw materials that are not imported, and give value addition to our farmers. We're also saying that because the farmers are important in agriculture, under Azimio la Ukulima, we must ensure we have value addition. And not only that, we also have guaranteed minimum returns to these farmers, that they cannot make losses, and if in any case they do that, then the government must compensate through making opportunities for guaranteed minimum returns. I am looking at this Azimio agenda as a transformation that is going to move us not only from Buy Kenya, Build Kenya, but also to Made in Kenya, and finally industrialize. Because in Azimio la Viwanda, we are saying we must now industrialize and create jobs for the millions. You know, President Kenyatta had a very good idea. And this idea was articulated by William Ruto then. 1 million jobs for the young people. But when things came into government, when things happened in the government, the president had a challenge because his principal assistant was not very keen on it now. Instead, you know, he started using these young people who he ought to have given jobs to now push wheelbarrow here and there so that they can pay. But we are now back on track. We are saying we are going to perfect on the challenges of President Kenyatta in terms of jobs, manufacturing, labor relations, energy, and we are going not only the normal energy, renewable, because we are going green. In that, we shall create green jobs for the young people. That is what we want to see. That is the transformation. And that's why I started by saying this election is between the transformists and conformists. Interestingly, the conformists have not told us how they're going to put their agenda. But surprisingly, they claim they have an agenda. But the good news is the transformists, in the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Karua, we have Azimio agenda. And it is not just an agenda, it is an agenda for the people of Kenya that they have embraced. We are going out, Linda, starting today to sell this document because it has good opportunities and it has a commitment of the people of Kenya under the leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha to transform this country once and for all.
All the best. All the best. Well, Zach, 10-point agenda or 10-point manifesto, so to speak, replica of what was for the Kibaki's economy recovery process or strategy you see on this document, and the fact that BAMBA somehow was part and parcel of the Kibaki government. I mean, first and second term, because first, it was Kibaki Tosha, and then the second time, the Grand Coalition, Grand Coalition government, and therefore there's a lot that will be borrowed from there, and that people are celebrating what Kibaki did. So it will be a plus?
It will be a plus because there is no need of reinventing the wheel. The wheel is already perfect.
Yeah.
And it can only be internally designed differently. But the same wheel remains. If you look at the 10-point agenda, and you had asked me earlier in the question that I forgot to address about whether this is not more or less of big four. Even if it would be the big three agenda of the first president of the country, Jomo Kenyatta, which is eradication of poverty, elimination of diseases, and it was disease, poverty, and ignorance. Yes. You see those three things. Those who have come after Kenyatta built on the three, but they were never defeated. But there is significant improvement about it. You know, sessional session of paper number 10 of 1965, being the first economic blueprint for the nation that has been built back, baptized different names by different people who have been vying. I would say what Raila is speaking on, names could change, could be 10-point agenda, Azimio, manifesto, but however, the problem remains that we are addressing the bedeviling problems for our people. We are sorting education, we are sorting food, we are sorting new emerging problems of urban settlement. Because now young people like Linda and Zach and Okango have no plans of going back to the village. And in the city they live, they must live in a city sustainably. A clean city, number 2, affordable housing, owning homes have now become an idea. And these homes, they must be made affordable to the people who are contributing to the economy, the middle class, the working people, the young people trooping from villages to the city.
Children must go to school.
And children must go to school. And this school, it must be all the way up to the university level. Which I think the current regime has improved on skilling of young people. And in the skilling, Raila just said, okay, people are being skilled, okay, institutions are being built, okay, machines have been installed, okay, what I will do, I'll now recognize prior learning. People who have skills but never went to school, I recognize them in a program that I'm proudly having participated in creating when I was in the Ministry of Education, called the RPL, Recognition of Prior Learning. A mechanic who makes you a car perhaps has no record of going to school, but they make you a car. So let us give them the certificate to make them competitive in a world of tendering, that they can ask for this job formally and get dignified payment by their clients. So I would say, whether it is more or less of Kibaki succession, whether it is more or less on President Uhuru's building, I would say that is not a problem. The problem would be if it was unrealistic or if it was not reflective of the problems our people are going through. I would say, if we can solve the problems of our people, whether they are called 10-point agenda or whether they are big 4 or whether they are fast 3 or whatever name they are given, let us supply clean, safe, drinkable water to every homestead. Let us educate every child that is born of a woman. Let us address all the medical needs without having necessarily to undergo medical tourism outside our country. Because in my experience, in my constituency, Kigumo, there are only 2 problems. Every problem, like now here, I have a total of 1,750 unread messages. I can tell you if I opened them, there are only 2 problems. 2 things that are distinct in my people is about education and medical health. That children can pass, but they cannot go to school. Or the children who are going to school have no sufficient means of sustaining their going to school. And they have no hope of going beyond where they are. This Azimio manifesto promises a world of academic excellence all the way up to where you want to go. And this is what Biden rode on to become blue president. Because today, I don't know whether it's a coincidence that Azimio is blue and the Democratic Party is blue, and that they are talking about the same things. I also would want to hear, other presidential candidates, the other 3, also mention about the problems bedeviling our people and a followable, credible, and transparent, accountable means and ways of settling these problems. Otherwise, I am very keen. The only person I don't expect to give us a manifesto, because his manifesto is in silence, is Wajakoya. His manifesto is very clear.
Straight to the point.
It is being discussed in dungeons and in secret places. And his voters are intact. Even if you shake them with $1 billion, they are not going to leave him.
And when you say he takes position 3, are you once again confirming that this is a 2-horse race?
It is. I think I'm a pragmatic man. I do not want to beat around the bush. This is a 2-horse races. These other 2 are important because when horses are racing, there are always other horses behind. Not that they are not horses, but they are not the one.
The shortest ballot paper that we're having.
We are happy for it.
But also, when it is a 2-horse race, when you have 2 horses competing, there's only a likely winner who is 1 horse. We can see the other horse has already had a damage in the feet. He's limping. So we know where we are going. But the most important thing, Linda, Azimio agenda has outlined what is called Azimio la Jitihada. It means Kenyans are good people and they want to elect good leaders who will guarantee them services and service delivery that is prompt to that. And therefore, We bring to the people of Kenya a leadership that is suitable and competent, a leadership of Raila Amolo Odinga and Martha Karua. In their government, they are guaranteeing us the 10-point agenda. Zach has explained it. It doesn't matter what it is in terms of the naming, but it matters that in that there are core issues in the economic and social rights. Those you will never miss in any environment where people live. Water that is free for drinking, education that Raila Odinga's government will be giving for free, healthcare that is now going to be universal, and we're talking about food security. And then therein, we are also saying in Azimio agenda that we will provide social transformation to the vulnerable by providing them with 6,000 per month per household, because those are people that do not have. And the Constitution of Kenya provides that the government shall protect them through social services. That is what we are saying. In this 10-point agenda, we are also giving Azimio la Ukulima, our agriculture. How do we provide for guaranteed minimum terms? We are saying Azimio la Kinamama, the women of this country who are working so hard every day. They toil in Marikiti, they wake up in Kasipul Kabondo, they wake up in Kigumo, they go to the market to get just 10 bob so that their children can eat in the evening. Raila Odinga in Azimio agenda is saying them, rest easy. We are coming to give you the credit. We are coming to protect you. And we have Martha Karua, the Iron Lady. This is a symbol of the epitome of women leadership. And we want to say that as we go into this election, the women of Kenya, you are lucky. Because for the first time, we have got somebody who will be pushing your agenda. And not only her, even the women that are going to be elected, Charity Ngilu, Pasaris, Gladys Wanga, and the rest. We are saying this 10-point agenda and the many inawezekana agenda that we have, we for sure, this is Kenya that is going to be possible. And we ask the people of Kenya, with the good opportunity, good governance, good leadership, give Raila Amolo Odinga a chance to lead this country so that for the first time we can actually talk of a government that delivered with little or no challenges.
Okay. I am supposed to release you in about 4 minutes, Fred, but before then, IEBC, with these discrepancies that they show, they probably need to step up the game. They really need to help us have some essence of confidence in them, because today you cannot clear a candidate, then the next day you want to revoke this clearance that you've made. It shows that there are a lot of discrepancies that would need to be addressed. They still have time, because that's the only way they get to guarantee us, you know, a peaceful, a free and fair process. Speak to the IEBC, as you as well speak to the people of Kenya in regards to peace, because after all said and done, the 2-horse race, the 4, it doesn't matter. Peace is what we look for.
I think there's a question that my brother Okango raised here about why Mongare was cleared and then uncleared. I think IBC was very clear by saying they are operating an open door policy of clearance. Yeah. That if an information that is adverse appears about Zach, which we fail to have captured, we are going to lock you out of the race. I mean, for Mongare, I think somebody proved that his degree was fake and said that the university which claims to have offered that degree did not in essence give that degree. And therefore, they have gotten that information and verified it from CUE that this candidate is not. And you see, he did not even contest. He didn't even contest the fact that IBC summarily left him out of the race. The same with, others locked out. Carriera was not locked out because of degree. He's a young man who's gone to school. He was locked out for having not been able to raise the minimum standard of signatures. From 24 counties, 2,000 each, which is not a small, is not a mean feat to be able to raise that one. Because IBC, this time, is verifying details. Yeah. Unlike before, when you would come with 48,000 papers and bring them before the IBC and say, now this is it. No, thinking that they are not going to verify. This time they were asking for soft data. Give us soft in a flash disk. This flash disk is all they wanted to confirm that this is fake or this is right. Yeah. I think for me, I would say IBC this time has inspired the highest form of confidence ever. Because even at our regional bodies, regional level, these people are doing work. Yeah. For me, I would say before I was cleared, they asked me a question that I never saw coming. And they said, until this is answered, we are not going to clear you. So did you resign?
And?
I told them, I resigned. Yes. Is there evidence? I said, yes. Where is it? It's here. Okay, is it true? Then I saw them do X, Y, Z. I think they were liaising with the office of the president to show that the signature appearing there is of the president having received my letter of resignation and Muhuri. What is the name of Muhuri? Stamp. And the stamp appearing is genuine. And they realized it was and said, thank you. Which have you received salary from that time? I said, no, I have been without salary for the last 6 months. Please, I'm even feeling now cold. Can you,
I hope we can trust that. I hope we can verify.
It is true. They did verify, because this body this time is not joking. And it is not an easy thing for these people to zero in from 54 to 4. It shows there is some serious work being done by this body. Even governors today, who are supposedly supposed to give those papers today, I am sure they will not. Some of them have no papers and they are afraid. I have heard that also, this is rumors, that others are trying to procure these degrees in a last-minute rush.
And that is happening so much so.
And you see,
and it's worrying.
It is not going to be easy. The IBC of today is not the IBC of yesterday.
Is it?
These people are doing a good job, and the presidential returning officer has shown it on TV.
Wow.
He showed it.
Interesting.
So for me, I would say IBC, HECO. This one tells us that even the counting of votes, the transmission of votes, the handling of this election, and as he said, around 8 a.m., I think this is an IBC that we envisage in the days ahead. Even the people running to court, the one who have been locked out of the race, I would just tell them, yes, the court, you have a reprieve in court, but IBC begins with I.
Okay.
Okay? This I is not very easy to push.
Yeah.
Yeah, because even the president who is sitting today cannot wish away the I.
Yeah.
The aspirants, Raila, did you see what they were asking Raila Odinga? Did you see Chebukati telling Ruto his time is up? Yeah, to speak. So this is a body that inspires confidence. And for me as Zach, I want to say I have total confidence on the electoral body.
Good enough. Okay.
Linda.
Yes.
I am very happy with what Zach has said, that the IBC starts with I. That I is independent. And therefore, if you look at the general principles of electoral system, one of the principles that must be used to conduct this election, as stipulated, is conducted by an independent body. That is the commission. Number two, this election also must be administered in a manner that is neutral, efficient, and accountable. I am happy that today IBC are becoming accountable to the people of Kenya. Right? Because the election starts from nomination, identification of the candidates, clearing them, subjecting them to public scrutiny through a vote. That process must be impartial, must be neutral, must be accountable, must be efficient. IBC, I want to ask them, Azimio la Umoja One Kenya, we did raise some of the issues that we want them tell Kenyans, address, particularly in the technology that they're going to use. The flaws that were in the 2017 election that saw the election nullified. We are going into an election that is a transition election that is going to be a do or die for some of us, I mean for some of the people we have seen out there. We are saying that as we go into this election, IBC, because you have demonstrated that you are true to the provisions of the Constitution that gives you the mandate, you have demonstrated that you wanted this election to be free, fair, and credible. You must go ahead and also tell Kenyans that what have you done to fix the flaws that saw the election nullified, because that Supreme Court judgment is out there.
Right.
Number three, we also want to ask the competitors that are out there. This is not war. We are not going into war. This is a competition. It is a democratic competition, and we are going to compete on agenda and ideas. Luckily, we have tabled our agenda. It's called Azimio agenda in our Inawezekana. We want to tell them, table your agenda. As we go out to campaign starting this morning, let's convince our people based on the agenda. For IBC, be the referee. I am glad. Even as because I was very shocked. I saw a photo in this newspaper today where one of the independent presidential aspirants burnt voters' card. I mean, I want to ask the young people, we are all Kenyans. Election is not the end of the world. You live to try another day. we are saying that we must also be guided by the loyalty to our country, and you know, this is our country. Let's not go overboard because we are frustrated or because we are now emotional about this. This is a competition. We have a role to play in this election. We have a role to play in successive governments, and we have a future, particularly as young people, that as we transition the next election, we must learn from the challenges of this election and put everything in place. This election is ours as young people, because the transformation that is going to be done by Azimio government is a transformation that guaranteed the young people security, education, industrialization, health, jobs, and everything, manufacturing. That is why, for us, we support Raila Amolo Odinga, because we trust that in that Azimio government, we shall be economically included.
Fair enough, gentlemen. Thank you so much. Time is moving very fast. To the people of Kigumo, only a minute.
Thank you. I would take this minute as Linda has prescribed and say I'm still in the race to represent you in the 13th Parliament as your 10th Member of Parliament since independence. And my agenda has been very clear, and I have been telling you people that time is now for fair representation and for delivery of services that are needed, which can only be delivered through the Member of Parliament office. And I'm asking the people watching TV47 this morning from Kigumo and across surrounding regions where you can reach people of Kigumo to tell them that this is the best time in the history where a candidate who understands the role of Parliament, a candidate who has been in government, understand how the government is run, is coming. I am the best package for you. And also, let me commit before TV47 that ours is a campaign of peace. And we are asking young people, especially those who are supporting me vigorously, to ensure that they don't pull down any poster, to ensure that they don't pull down any billboard, to ensure that they do not tear down and they do not maltreat. Don't maltreat any campaign merchandise for anybody. You are not helping me by destroying my opponent's published materials. It is also very costly. As I told you, 30 shillings for one poster, and I need about 10,000 posters. How much is that? Expensive. That's about 300,000 shillings. 300,000 shillings is a lot of money in Kamulu. You can buy 50 by 100 and put a house. This is not small money. Don't destroy campaign materials. Number 2, do not engage in verbal attacks. If you cannot keep your mouth shut, my supporters, do not go to the campaign of my opponent to go and shout there. I do not need you to shout. The shout I need is on 9 in the morning. Come and shout in the ballot paper and say, Zach. I mean, put your ballot there. It's the best way you can help me. I, Zach Inothia, vying for a parliamentary seat, commit for peace in toto, without condition, and anywhere, anytime, even at night, we are a campaign of peace. May the country of Kenya conduct this pre-election campaign in peace, conduct the election in peace, and post-election day in peace. And that way, our country shall be founded on love, unity, and peace.
I'll put Zach Kinuthia, Member of Parliament, candidate of Kigumo constituency. All the best. I hope ground in a ceremony way. I hope so. All the best. You know, kila mtu tunaenda.
I will say niko sawa. But if you go, you can find it yourself.
Yes, that's right. It's important that we go there and here. But then, you know, we're just about how many months to like?
About
close to
63 days.
63 days. That's as good as you know, 2 months thereabout. And we'll have known what the ground then is.